When you do it, when you get deeply aligned with yourself and you hold that space for yourself, all of a sudden, your sixth sense and your connection to everyone and everything goes through the roof.
Hello, friend. I'm really happy that you pressed play on this particular episode because it was so beautiful. It was so enriching. It was so inspiring. It was so unconditionally loving the way it wrapped itself around me. And I have a feeling that it's going to do that for you too. So it was poetic and authentic and the kind of dialogue that continues to inform you. And as we move through rest and rhythm and what it looks like to bloom in your own timing, you'll feel the tenderness and the power. You'll be reminded of something you already knew, but maybe you needed a reminder of. If you've been moving fast or you've been holding a lot and you've been trying to force anything, this is a gentle place to land, to resonate. All right, come with us. Welcome to The Authentic Creative, where we expand our capacity to feel good, one deep breath, one bold choice, and maybe a little bit of magic at a time. I'm Siri Baruch Thornton, healer, creative, and lifelong explorer of all things energy, self-expression, and joy. With over 26 years of experience in Reiki, Akashic Records, and transformational breathwork, I've learned that feeling good is not a luxury, it's a practice. And sometimes it's a little messy. This podcast is here to help you trust your intuition, break the rules, the ones that need breaking, and live more fully in your gifts. So give yourself a deep breath, get cozy, and let's dive in. I am absolutely delighted because today coming on is Melody Godfred, and she is incredible. Her work and who she is and how she shows up has very much moved and changed me. She's been on 2 of our past panels. Melody Godfred is an author, a poet, an entrepreneur, and speaker whose work centers on self-love, authenticity, and manifestation. She began her career as a litigation attorney, but left a prestigious position at a top law firm after realizing her work was disconnected from who she truly was. She went on to found Right in Color, a personal branding and career development company where she coached hundreds of women and built a reputation as a leader in the career development space. And through this work and through major life transitions of her own, including motherhood, Melody noticed a recurring pattern. Many women were achieving external success while quietly sacrificing their happiness, well-being, and sense of self. In 2016, Melody created Self-Love Pinky Ring. You know, you've seen that movement. I recently have. I'm in awe of the fact that this was Melody. A self-commitment ring designed as a daily reminder to choose oneself. She also launched Fred and Far, a self-love movement and community that quickly went viral and sparked a global conversation around self-love, with features in Vogue, InStyle, Cosmopolitan, and more. Melody is the author of 4 books, including Self-Love Poetry for Thinkers and Feelers, which she originally self-published in 2020. This is so cool. And then the book quickly gained traction and caught the attention of Andrews McMeel Publishing, who approached Melody and offered her a publishing deal. She went on to re-release Self-Love Poetry, published The ABCs of Self-Love, The Shift Poetry for a New Perspective, and Moon Garden Poetry for Manifestation. Her work has been recognized by Oprah Daily, Today with Hoda and Jenna, and Goodreads for its emotional depth and ability to resonate deeply with readers. Her books are also available as ebooks and audiobooks, which she narrates herself. In addition to writing, Melody is a sought-after speaker and thought leader on women's empowerment, positive parenting, and career development. Her work has been featured in Inc., Forbes, HuffPost, Bustle, Motherly, Mashable, The Muse, and Fairy Godboss. And she has spoken at events including the Teen Vogue Summit, the Massachusetts Conference for Women, and the Within Health Summit. She also facilitates intimate gatherings and blends poetry, ritual, and reflection to create experiences of release, renewal, and connection. Melody lives in LA with her husband, Aaron, and their 3 children, and I just cannot wait to talk to her. I want to read to you this introduction of one of her beautiful books called Self-Love Poetry, and the other one, Moon Garden Poetry for Manifestation. They're both my favorite. I keep them beside my bed. And the intro for Self-Love Poetry, she talks about her process. And she says, it is only when you embrace all parts of yourself, that you're authentic,
self can work her magic and enable you to make the impact on the world only you were born to make. So I popped on early, Melody. I've already read your bio. I love that you're
Thank
sitting
you.
outside. I was in awe of the fact that you started this pinky self-love movement, which I am behind because I only just kind of got with it to that. And I was looking at an ad for one of these pinky self-love rings recently or some sort of thing about it. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And now I'm seeing that this was you.
Yeah,
That's so incredible.
thank you. It really was an incredible experience bringing that to life.
Yeah. What made you think of that? Where did that come from?
So basically, what happened, it was the beginning of 2015. At that time, I was running my resume writing, career counseling business. I had a house, I had a husband, I had these twin toddlers. I had it all, but I wasn't happy. And it was really alarming to get where you thought you were supposed to go in order to be happy
Yeah.
and for the prize not to be waiting for you. And I
Mm,
really thought to myself, well, I need to get to know myself again and remember what makes me happy. Where is my joy? Who am I? Like, what is it that I need to change about my life in order to reconnect with myself? And I'm someone who's always turned to jewelry to commemorate milestones. I love jewelry. It's something that really lifts me up. So I went to the jewelry store, bopping around, and I see this ring. It wasn't even a pinky ring, it was a normal ring. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have this sized way down. I'm going to wear it on my pinky because it looked like this big stone. Every time I look at this is going to be my reminder that I belong in my own life. I deserve to be a priority. I deserve to make a commitment to myself the same way that my engagement ring represents and reminds me of my commitment to my spouse.
hmm
And that's really how it started. It started with me making a commitment to myself, and it worked. Every day I would look at it and think, where are we at, Melody? When it worked for me, I thought, I can't be the only woman who feels this way. And that was what set me on the journey of designing the ring, manufacturing the ring, bringing it to life. I had no experience with any of that. We got one piece of press, which became 100 pieces of press, and it went viral all around the world because I think at its core, women love this idea of not only self love, but it being part of a sisterhood. So you make this commitment to
Mm.
yourself and at the same time join this community of women all around the world who are on the same journey.
I love that so much, and I am so excited that I'm aware of it because now I have to join. Do you have yours on now? I've put you on
I
the spot.
No, actually, I don't. It's funny, I left it in the bank yesterday.
By
I have
accident, you left it at the bank?
No, I keep all my jewelry there.
Oh, got it.
I was robbed when I was younger, and ever since then, I have all this uncertainty and like panic
Mm,
around being robbed. So I just don't leave anything in the house.
got it. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Some old trauma for us to work through.
Talk to me about where were you born?
So that's actually an important story in this moment because I was born in Iran
Okay.
and my parents escaped the country when I was 3 months old because it was in the middle of the Iranian Revolution.
Wow.
And it was a very rough start. I got very sick during the journey out of the country. It was a journey that took several days as they were smuggled out of the country
Wow.
by foot, by motorcycle, by bus, made it to Pakistan, and then eventually made it to Israel, where I spent 2 weeks in the hospital as soon as we got there. Finally, after that, made our way to Los Angeles and started a life from scratch.
Why did they decide LA?
Originally, it was supposed to be New York because it was so hard to get asylum. You would try to get whatever you could get. But my dad's brother had settled in Los Angeles before, and my
Mm-hmm.
parents were so weary
Mm-hmm.
and that they were like, we need to be close to family.
Yeah.
So that's how they ended up in LA.
Yeah.
And we've been here ever since.
Wow.
And it's an incredible moment to witness the revolution that's brewing again now. It's painful to witness, but cautiously optimistic that maybe this will be the beginning of a new era for Iran.
Wow. And you feel deeply connected. Have you visited?
So, we're Jewish, and part of the reason we left was religious persecution. We were not allowed to leave. That's why we had to escape. So, it has not been safe to return. So, no, none of us have been back. But a free Iran means that we could return home and these beautiful places that exist in my memory through stories that my parents have told me. I'm hopeful will be a part of my reality at some point, and that I'll even get to take my kids them there and show them their heritage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. I'm moved to tears already, no surprise. I want to flip open to this one poem as we're talking, and then I want to come back to you as a person. And it's no surprise also that I flipped to Phoenix Rising. That's the name of my son.
I know. So beautiful. This poem is a cosmic gift. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to share a short story about what inspired it. Phoenix Rising. I transcend my hunger for tomorrow's perfection by being here now. I feed my heart on peace, my soul on pleasure. Because I am willing to fail, I am free to begin again and again, eternally renewed, continually ablaze. Every dawn, I am reborn.
Mm,
I'm so
incredible.
happy you picked this poem for us to start with together because this poem came to me during a sound healing, a sound bath.
Mm.
And it was at a friend's house with a circle of women. And before we did the sound healing, one of them revealed that she was battling colon cancer and was going to have surgery very next day.
Mhm.
And while we were in the sound bath, the beginnings of this poem just came to me. I wrote it down, and at the end of the sound bath, I handed it to her and I said, I don't know why, but this came through for me, through me, but it's for you. And she looked at me and she said, my son's name is Phoenix. Yep.
Wow, Melody.
Yeah.
Okay. You wrote on my podcast review that I'm a portal, and that's because I'm mirroring you. You're a portal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. It's such a gift when you open yourself up to being a portal, a vessel, a conduit. The messages you receive and transmit, they're not ours. They are universal truths that belong to everyone. And it becomes this bridge that connects everyone and everything. And that bridge is called love. And in that moment, I gave her love and I supported her healing. And I'm so thankful to say that a year or two later, she's doing so well. She's thriving. And of all the poems that are in Moon Garden, this is the poem that people open up to the most.
Really?
And I didn't even realize it, but when I sequenced the book, it's on page 111. And I did
Yes,
not,
I think I
I
did
did,
see that.
I didn't plan that.
Okay.
And so, speaking about the heart of the poem, it's really about being where you are and being in that place with openness instead of fear, and recognizing that we are all continually evolving. And that's beautiful. And that's something that I've only, as I've grown, become comfortable with because we're raised to fear failure. We're raised to avoid the discomfort
Yeah.
of making a mistake or trying something and having it not work out, or even facing these life altering moments. It's all enshrouded with fear. And what if we are instead the phoenix who dies to become alive, but this time with wings? We see that symmetry of vision throughout our lives. Like a butterfly is the same, a caterpillar becomes nothing, literal nothing, goop, before it's reborn as a butterfly. And
It's pretty gross looking. Yeah.
it's not pretty. But oftentimes our evolution, our rise from the ashes, that's not very pretty either.
Yep,
But what's on the other side of it is everything.
exactly. And we'll die 1,000 deaths if we're committed to our evolution like you
Hmm.
are, like we
Yeah.
are, like the people listening are. So, coming back to your childhood, you're in LA, and what was your childhood like? Did you write poetry as a child? Were you an artist? Were you expressive? Were you into sports? Were you into psychology? I know you became a lawyer.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting how I got there. I did start out as a very, very creative child. I was writing songs and music and singing and playing the piano starting at the age of 4 years old. I literally
Mm.
have compositions from when I was 7. I have all my old journals, which are all filled with poems from a very young age. In fact, the dedication of self love poetry, I share a little snippet of a poem I had written when I was little. And that book is a celebration and return to that girl because something happened to me in my early adolescence where a switch was activated. And that switch was perhaps my ego. And my ego told me, you can't be serious. Like creative pursuit as your life's work, that's not realistic.
Hmm.
And so I started achieving, really leaning in to my more ambitious, productive, ego-driven self. And there was also a lot of fear wrapped up in that as well. You know, when I applied to college, that intuitive essence, that musical girl was still there. I applied as a music industry major, but all it took was one slight nudge from my parents to double major in business.
Sure.
And then when I finished college and the music industry was upside down because the year was 2004 and illegal digital streaming had just happened, and I got nervous. Again, all it took was a little nudge in my ego's direction. My mom said, well, why don't you apply to law school? You're really smart. You'd be really good at that. And that's what I did. And you know what? She was right. I was really good at that, but it wasn't aligned with my true purpose, my essence, that 4 year old girl who had such clarity around what she loved and what her gift was. My 30s and now my 40s have really been this reclamation and return to the singular self that I am. And I've been really lucky that I've had the freedom and support and opportunity to gravitate back towards my most authentic expression. And now, 4 books later, this is where we are.
Okay, so I think it's incredible that your parents were who they were and are who they are. And are they still here with us?
Yes, yes. And they're
Bless, bless,
extraordinary.
bless. Because it comes from care, it comes from love, it comes from fear, it comes from leaning into. They immigrated. So, of course, there's so many stories of if you've immigrated, then
Yeah.
you've got to take this seriously, this life seriously. You've got to do the practical thing. You've got to do the reliable thing. You've got to do the straight and narrow thing. That kind of lines up for a lot of people. Bless their hearts. And then it's so fascinating because I just feel like, of course, that training and what you were leaning into, the logic brain, because you say if for thinkers, this side of the page is for thinkers, this is for feelers. The thinkers side is such an integral part of your work,
Oh,
right? And like the
absolutely.
way that you're able to help women, the way that you've been able to create this foundation of practicality and understanding how the world works, I feel like
Yeah.
that was a foundation for you to be able
Well,
to be who you are now.
100%. And it's all about integration. One of my favorite chapters in Moon Garden, my newest book, is chapter 8, which is August. And it's the sturgeon moon. And the theme of that
Mm.
chapter is restoration. It's about claiming your wholeness instead of creating these fragmented narratives about who we are and saying, oh, well, this is the good part, or this is the bad part, or that was then, and this is now.
Yeah.
Your point, my greatest power is that I can draw from all these different parts of who I am. I can draw from all these different experiences. I mean, any poet will tell you, or any reasonably successful poet will tell you, this is a business. At the end of the day, you have to be willing to be strategic about how you're sharing, the marketing you're doing. This isn't me sitting in a corner of a room writing poetry and hoping for the best.
Mm.
And my power lies in not distilling the art and weakening it or making it less potent,
Hmm.
because I also understand that I have to be willing to share it and put it out there and promote it. The art is the art. And then I get to call on all these other parts of myself to elevate the art so that it can reach people.
Yeah.
And that is the dance, right? The left brain and the right brain,
Hmm.
and recognizing that all of it is valid and necessary. So I agree with you. And my parents are the best because even now they completely support me and they support everything that I do. There was never a moment of, oh, why are you throwing it all away? They too see everything as part of my evolution as a person. I'll also say I'm really grateful that I have these other things that I can integrate into my work, and who knows what the future holds. This isn't a straight line. If there's one thing we've all realized in the last year is that time isn't quite as linear or narrowly focused. I am a spiral. I'm continually revisiting myself.
Yes.
I'm not going to say maybe in 5 years I'll have a law practice. You know,
Who knows?
nothing is certain, everything is possible. And I am open and grateful and receiving of all of it.
Amazing. Is there a particular poem that is calling to you, or would you like me to choose one? I feel like we should pause and read another one.
You choose.
Okay,
I'm
me
going to let
choose.
you be the
Okay,
oracle today.
let's switch to self-love poetry for a second. We've read one from Moon Garden. Just so you guys know, I think I said this earlier before Melody hopped on. I keep both of her books next to my bed. Every night I have a whole habit stacking ritual of yoga and journaling and sauna and all these things. And the last thing I do before I close my eyes is I read a handful of Melody's poems. I choose at random. That is my medicine. That helps me to turn off the brain and drops me in, and I feel so seen and I feel so known, and it's as if I've written it myself because she's just speaking to me. I think when you're a channel, when you're a portal, there is something so universal in the specificity. Okay, I opened randomly to, this is the left brain thinker side. It says, my daughter's school assignment was to cast a shadow and turn it into art. Maybe that's what this time is for, to witness our shadows and learn to see their beauty. And then the right brain side says, how I became whole. I found my sadness and loved it. I found my pain and loved it. I found my anger and loved it. I found my shame and loved it. I found my fear and loved it. I found my anxiety and loved it.
Mm,
That makes me want to cry right
I
there.
know.
Oh,
I
look at
love
the
that.
sun streaming over your face.
Go find a
Gorgeous. It's
not too
perfect.
sunny spot.
It's very poetic.
Oh, I'm so happy you landed on that poem. It really takes me back to such a precise aha moment. I'm going to get teary because my girls are 13 now. I think when
Oh,
I wrote that, they were like 6 years old, maybe even less.
it goes too fast. It goes so slow and then it goes so fast.
To have experienced that then and to have raised them with this understanding that no part of who they are is off limits. That's so powerful. I see it in how they carry themselves now as young women. Nothing is off limits. There's no shame. Can you imagine if we could go back to our adolescence and
Mm,
eliminate the shame? I
yeah. Well, it's part of it, right?
yeah,
I mean, if you didn't have that shame, we wouldn't have these poems.
yeah. There's no shame in the shame.
Ah,
Yeah.
gorgeous. Tell me about being recognized by all of these platforms and magazines. What was that like?
Oh my God, it was so wild. Siri, to go viral back even before Instagram viral, TikTok didn't even exist. This was old school press viral. It happened so fast that my body had a reaction to it. I developed a cyst in my breast from
Oh,
the intensity of the emotion that came from all of this happening all at once. It was fine.
wow.
It was totally fine. We took care
Yeah,
of it. But I think, especially as women, we're so sensitive, and
yeah.
I'm an empath. And all of a sudden, I felt the energy of the entire world shifted a little bit because women all around the world were like, oh my God, I can choose myself. It was extraordinary. And to have been able to be part of that awakening was definitely a privilege of my lifetime. And what I love the most about it is when I designed the experience around the self love pinky ring, one of the things I did was I created a pledge card where women made a pinky promise to love themselves and choose themselves, and they would sign it. And then I would email them after they made the purchase and ask them, send me a picture and also tell me your story.
Wow.
And I collected hundreds of stories that are still all live on the Fred and Far website under the Sisterhood Stories tab.
Okay.
And it's extraordinary. No two stories are the same. Everyone reached this moment of choosing themselves differently, but the energy of it, it's so universal and so consistent. Whether it was a woman who was widowed in her 70s or 80s, a woman who was going into college and her mother wanted to give her this gift of self belonging as she embarked on the next chapter of her life, whether it was a woman who survived domestic abuse or a woman who was having her first child and this was her push present, whether it was the
Mm.
man and the woman who came to me and made matching rings and proposed to each other so that they could both have not only a symbol of their union with each other, but of their union with themselves.
Oh my God.
I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Every single story will absolutely give you chills. And that was where I did the learning in witnessing these stories that allowed me to write self love poetry. So it's not just my story you're hearing through these poems, it is the story of thousands of people who walked this journey with me.
Woo. Yeah, chills, body chills,
Mhm.
heartwarming, heart melting. You're so well spoken. It's not just that you're a good poet, you really speak like you write.
Thank
It's
you.
incredible how well you speak. I have a thousand questions, but I'm curious just in this very present moment. You talked about your daughters. You have three daughters?
I have two
Two.
daughters, twins, and a son.
Okay. What are you present to about motherhood?
We could have a whole
I
podcast on
know.
this one. Motherhood is both too much and not enough.
That's
That is
awesome.
right. And I think that'll be the title of my next book. Too much and not enough, honest poetry about motherhood. Um,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Because that duality of it pulls too much of me to have to worry about everything you have to worry about, to be the container for other people's lives on such a huge scale. And yet, it's not enough. There is a wild woman in me that needs to be tended to, that needs to be expressed, that needs to be honored, that is completely separate from my experience as a mother.
Yeah.
And over the last few years, I've been learning how to create space for her and to nurture her because there is a part of me that feels, and it doesn't have anything to do with the love. The love is also too much. The love I have for my children and the love I receive from them, it's also too much. Too much doesn't mean necessarily bad. It's just, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Even if you love them, what we are asked of as mothers, who would choose it? I mean, like, who is like, okay, I'm in the prime of my life. I'm the hottest I've ever been. I'm financially free. I'm in literally peak. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tie myself down to keeping another thing alive and cared for, not just for the next 10 or 20 years, but forever,
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
It's not a logical choice. It's really this biological need. Because if any of us were to sit and actually think about what it is we're doing, who would choose it? And in self love poetry, there's a poem that says, if women remembered their pain, the human race would cease to exist. But if women forget their joy, the human race would cease to exist too. And I think that second piece is really what I'm interested in right now because we are all inherently programmed to forget our pain all the time. After my C section, why would I ever agree to have a second one? There is some intentional
Oh, the
brainwashing that has to happen to
yeah.
sign up for that twice.
Yeah.
But also, I fought and chose to remember my joy, which is why when I found that I was pregnant with my son, even after all the perils of premature twins, I was delighted And what a gift it was to be able to have this experience again, because I choose to remember my joy. Even if the forgetting sometimes isn't intentional, the remembering is always my choice. That is where I'm at. I am trying to embrace the too much and fulfill the not enough. I have three kids in three different schools. I was driving up and
Woo!
picking up from 1:45 till 5 p.m. And I
Yeah.
saw somebody and they're like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "By recognizing this is my life right now. I do it. I do it with
Mm.
love. I do it."
You say
So,
in your poems, be present to the pain, be present to the joy,
yeah,
be present to the everything. And you list all of
yeah,
these things to be present to.
yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
present to it and I don't resent it. And I don't toxic positivity it either. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is this silver lining of I get to have quality time with them. I'm so lucky that I don't have a 9 to 5 job that would preclude me from being able to do these 3 hour driving fests in the afternoons. I do all that,
Driving fests.
right? But I also, yeah, sometimes like I live in West Los Angeles. I'm sure some of your listeners know it's literally gridlock from
Oh
two to
yeah, I
seven.
used to do it. Yep. Before
And
we
so,
left. Yes.
yeah. And
Yes.
so, but I'm present to it. I'm present to it. We all need to remember that everything's impermanent, nothing is forever. And
That's right.
I don't know exactly what my next chapter will hold, but I feel it's coming closer. I'm excited for that unknown, because I no longer see the future through a lens of uncertainty. I see it through a lens of possibility. And that's been a really major reframe for me in my mind, because for so much of my life, I was trapped by worry. As Brene Brown says, I was dress rehearsing tragedy.
Mm.
And now I am so deeply rooted in the here and now and in my joy and in my agency that bring it on, you know? Let's see how good it can get. That's a postcard I have over my desk from an artist. Let's see how
That's
good it could get.
Yeah, that's the expanding our capacity to feel good. And that's what I'm interested in. And so, Melody, the wiring that you've had from your beginnings, that we have as women, that we have as Jewish women, all of this wiring feels like it's hardwired in there, but then we realize there's neuroplasticity and we can change and we can grow and we can expand our capacity to feel good, which is what you're saying is the antidote is this presence and
Yeah.
also being in the possibility and being ready and being open to. So I am curious about, is it your poetry when you're writing? Is it your communing with sisters? Is it the quiet moments that no one sees? Please share with us what are the ways in which you're rewiring that so you are able to expand your capacity to receive the too much, that you can let the too much
Yeah.
in.
I think it's everything you said. A lot of it is through the work. I have a Substack where I share newsletters and they're deeply personal, and you get this experience of me confronting my life and learning to hug it. How can I hug this moment, whether it's hard or easy? How can I be in it and fully embrace it? And sometimes it's really hard, but what's lucky for me is what's born of that is poetry. I get to create this beautiful thing on the other end of it that
Poison to
then,
medicine.
yeah, that reaches other people and makes them feel less alone.
Yeah.
That is the biggest, highest compliment I receive is when somebody reads something and it comforts them. It makes them feel less alone, more capable, just okay. Like your poetry, when they say change my life, I don't think it actually changes the nuances of their life, but it does changes how they walk through it, right?
Yeah.
It transforms a march into a dance. And that is an incredible thing to be able to give someone. I don't take that lightly. And a lot of the work I do is because I know that the more I work out, the more I could then help someone else do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would even go so far as to say that you are changing their externals in the sense that it's a mirror. So when we change internally, when we start to radically accept ourselves through reading your poetry, which is happening to me, being seen, being validated, being known through your poetry, that changes my internal, and therefore it does change my external. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Simultaneously. And who knew? I knew, but who knew? Like you viscerally have an experience of poetry changing you, healing you, being your medicine, dropping you out of your head. That's what breath work does for me. And that's what your
Mhm.
poetry does for me. And honestly, who knew that it could do that? I
Yeah.
mean, yes, E. E. Cummings, when I was in high school, I carry your heart, I carry it in my heart. I remember reading that and I remember how powerful that was. Mary Oliver, beautiful.
Yeah.
There's these experiences you have with poetry, but honestly, this is the most consistent. There's no other poetry books that I've continuously read. This is the first time that
Thank
this
you.
has become this type of pathway for me.
Well, to be by your bedside is truly the highest honor.
It is.
That is sacred. That's sacred. That's really the most sacred part of someone's day is to be the pathway towards someone's subconscious. Sleep is such a surrender. You're letting go. You're completely out of control. And to choose poetry as the way you surrender your body, that's just such a beautiful gift that you're giving me and also to yourself.
My husband will be, thank you. My husband will be next to me and I'll read one of your poems and I want to read it to him, but I know he's in it, he's doing his own thing to get himself to sleep. Okay, I just opened to the Oracle. Do you want to read it? Do you
I'm
want
going
me
to
to
have
read?
you read it.
Okay.
I love hearing you read. I want you to read it.
If you've ever watched a time-lapse video of a midnight moon dahlia, you'll notice an interesting phenomenon. Its petals seem to contract before bursting open. One might think this is an act of fear or uncertainty, a retreat inward before the ultimate act of vulnerability, blooming. In reality, dahlias turn inward to gather energy, read the environment, and realign each lavender-edged petal to achieve its fullest expression. Like us, dahlias follow circadian rhythms that guide them through cycles of rest and growth. They dare to bloom, yes, but they do so in their own time and in their own way. So the oracle on the right side is I hold space for myself and time stands still. I feel eternity cycling between my hands. Oh, the power of releasing myself from my ever worried mind. In this pause, my essence reveals herself. I ask how we will find our way forward. In my own voice, she lovingly says, trust yourself. I mean,
Thank you.
every poem is like this, guys. Oh my goodness.
I love that that pair really speaks to the heart of the book, which is nature has so many lessons for us. It's everything we need to know is right there. And yet we are increasingly living these lives that are not only disconnected from nature, like we put ourselves in little boxes and stare at little boxes, and we can go days without seeing the sky or feeling a breeze or seeing a tree or a flower. We also have stopped in our own bodies being regulated by the processes that we've been gifted with. And then we wonder, why do we feel so out of sync?
Yeah.
Why do we feel so out of sorts? Well, it's because we are nature. We
Yeah.
are part of nature as much as we try to segregate ourselves from it. And in researching and writing this book, I really try to remember who I am, where do I come from? It was great to feel a little more wild, to feel a little more connected because all these pressures we put on ourselves to go, 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 achieve, 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 accumulate. All of a sudden, I was like, no, I'm like the Dahlia. I need a minute. I need to go inside myself. My answers are inside myself, they're not out there. It's okay. There's so much pressure to be an extrovert, especially in a world of social media, to constantly be showing yourself and promoting yourself and producing. But my greatest gifts sometimes come in silent, private moments like the dahlia who goes inward before it blooms. And so I love that I was able to create a book that hopefully will not only return people to themselves, but also return them to nature because it is an astoundingly beautiful world we live in, no matter how broken it may feel right now.
Yeah. I feel this, it doesn't happen all the time, but occasionally I feel this surge of unconditional love, Reiki energy, either at my back,
Hmm.
like a hand at my back, or through my core. And when it happens, it is an ultimate blessing. It's just few and far between, but when it happens, and it's happening as you're speaking, Melody, I'm feeling this incredible unconditional love, Reiki warmth in my core because everything you share is such truth. It just resonates so fully and so deeply for me. And yeah, I'm just curious in terms of Moon Garden being your latest book, Right and Left Brain of Self-Love Poetry, so beautifully organized with right and left. But this is so beautifully organized, and I gifted it to my mom and I'm gifting it to my friends, each moon having its own section. How did that come to you to use the moon cycles and be in connection with it?
I was gifted this idea by Source in Ojai, which is a very mystical town, an hour and a half outside of Los Angeles. When the idea first started sprouting, I wasn't actually in the market to write a book. I wasn't like seeking an idea. A friend was celebrating her birthday, and during that trip, I kept getting all these signs. I write about some of the signs in the book. In the introduction, I write about how night blooming jasmine found me everywhere
Yes,
on that trip,
yes, yes.
and how in the book I write about how I now see that scent as my intuition. And it's funny, I was at a book signing a few months ago, and this woman came in and introduced herself. She said she was a medium, and she looked at me and she goes, Jasmine isn't just your intuition, it's also your guide. And then she goes,
Mhm.
and she's standing next to you right now. And that was so powerful, that this thing that I felt that compelled me to write the book really was affirmed by this lady. She didn't know me. She didn't know about my book. She literally walked in off the street. The other thing that happened on that trip is I kept seeing circles, which was really interesting because for 10 years, my symbol through Fred and Far and the self love movement I created was an inverted triangle.
Mhm.
That's the logo of that company. It represents the divine feminine. It was triangles literally for 10 years. And
Wow.
then all of a sudden, all I saw were circles, circles everywhere I went. And then I realized, oh my God, that circle is the moon. And there was this evolution that happened within me where I could not help but want to know more. I really was a student. The book started off as a learning for me. I wasn't seeking to write, I was seeking to learn. It was like I was in graduate school. I read so much. I read the Farmer's Almanac. I read works by other poets who wrote about the moon. I just immersed myself. And Ojai is really wonderful because Bart's bookstore, which is there, it's the largest outdoor bookstore in the world. They have this great section of spiritual books, and Ojai is where Theosophy was founded. And Theosophy is a religion that really speaks to a lot of the themes that we've been talking to. So I learned about it. And
Wow.
once I had the foundation, it was a really fun experience of putting the pieces together because it was like a year of research
Mhm.
and gathering.
Mhm.
And then it was this dance of, okay, now what is the story we're trying to tell? It's all rooted in the old farmer's almanac, in native traditions. I did not make up the names of the moons. I did not make
Sure.
up their energies. All of this was research. And of course, I put my spin on things, and the poetry and writing is all original. As my brother and I like to say, the truth is the truth. So if something resonates with you, it's
Mhm.
because it's the truth, not
Mhm.
because I'm spinning something.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of this book is whether you know something about the moon or nothing about the moon, you'll read it and it will resonate like throughout your chakras because you're like, oh, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I'm curious. You've been doing these ceremonies and reading your poetry at them. What's an experience you did already share a very powerful experience of the Phoenix Rising coming through? But more recently, have you had any interesting experiences with sharing your poetry in circle? Speaking of circles?
I think what's beautiful is witnessing people let things go. I think so often when women circle or you go to experiences, it's all about what are your intentions? What are you going to claim in? What are you going to manifest? There's all of this energy around creation, which is beautiful. But the most profound experiences I've witnessed are all around release.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
you say
full.
poetry for manifestation, and
Yeah.
manifestation is surrender.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so the letting go.
The letting go. And it's not easy because we are all so programmed, myself especially, to want to be safe.
Yeah.
And safety oftentimes has this clinging energy. Like,
Hmm.
I have to hold everything tight, otherwise, I'm going to lose it. And that
Hmm.
was my story for a very long time. After I was an attorney, I started doing career development and writing in that space. And then when I came up with the idea for the Self Love Pinky Ring, I didn't let go of the writing business. I added on this whole business. And then when I had an idea for a book, I originally self published ABCs of Self Love in 2018 and then Self Love Poetry in 2020. I didn't let go of the resume writing. I didn't let go of the jewelry making. I just layered something else on because to let go of anything felt so scary. I did a deep meditation with myself when I was offered a traditional book deal. I asked myself, what am I willing to let go of to get what I actually want? And that's been a grounding practice for me because we can hold on to a lot of things, but oftentimes in holding on to everything, you lose access to the bigger, more pivotal thing that you're actually desiring.
Yeah.
That's just a great practice, especially on a full moon. Take stock of what you're holding on to and then ask yourself, what am I willing to let go of to get what I actually want? I don't think that safety is really what people want. I think they want freedom, they want alignment, they want expression. Yes, we all want to be safe, but that is not the primary reason we are here. We're not here to feel safe. We're here to be fulfilled and authentic in our expression. And sometimes that means letting things go. That's not easy. So when I see that happen in a circle, when you really see someone have that moment of clarity around, oh, wow, I have to let that go, that's when the metamorphosis begins.
Yeah, it's this slowing down that is part of your work and being present and being in circle where we pause and we take our time to be together and to be present. It's in that slowing down. I do feel that we need to create the safety within ourselves in order to do the letting go, and that you can't force the letting go. You're going to keep the jewels in the bank until you're ready to not keep them in the
Yeah.
bank.
Yeah.
We do have to create that sense of that container of safety. And I love how you're saying take stock during the full moon, because there's that saying is your new life is going to cost you your old life. And any evolution is a crumbling of some sort of conglomeration of personality, identity, ego that we've structured together, not necessarily on purpose. The loosening and the letting go. My most profound letting go was finally experiencing psilocybin mushroom journey in a really sacred, safe, guided journey, not in a recreational way, but also through the breath work, I get the same exact experiences. Then more recently is going into the sauna.
Mm-hmm.
This little sauna in my bedroom, I love it because it's a sensory deprivation for me. I can't bring my phone in there. I don't have anything in there with me. It's dark, it's tight, quiet, not inward, like you were talking about, the parts that no one sees. I believe that that's what shows up in everything, is what we're doing in those quiet inward moments. That's what informs every single thing that happens when we are in the outside world.
You know what's so beautiful about that is
Yeah.
when you create space to go inward, it may seem at first blush that you're doing something that's very self-oriented. But when you do it, when you get deeply aligned with yourself and you hold that space for yourself, all of a sudden your sixth sense and your connection to everyone and everything goes through the roof. And it is in this retreat inward that we actually expand outward. And then you get to play these games with the universe where everything starts falling into place for you. I'll give you the smallest two examples. Yesterday, we had to buy a birthday gift for another friend. And we went somewhere we would never normally go. And she and I rarely actually, outside of school grounds, spend time together. It was a very unique date, but we both went into it with so much love and joy that we were having this experience. On a street corner, we were in Beverly Hills, which again, like never go there. We bump into this woman that is in class with our kids, someone you would never also expect to see there. And she shared with us that her son had been moved out of his class into a different grade. I looked at my friend and I said, oh my God, we were brought here for you to find out that there's an extra spot now in that other class because her daughter is getting bullied in the class that she's in. And the principal keeps saying, there's no room in that other class. My hands are tied. I can't move her. Everything conspired for us to end up on that street corner to solve this thing that is weighing on her on such a deep level. Lately, this is happening to me all the time because this is where my heart space is in helping other people. A few days ago, I was on the phone with my brother. I'm very worried about my mom. She has a lot of pressure on her. She's not having any fun. And I go, Johnny, to my brother, I'm like, we need to figure out how to have some fun with mom. Mom needs fun. And he goes, well, we should think about who of her friends she should spend more time with. And he starts naming people. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. That person's a black cloud. No to this person, no to that person. He goes, well, which of her friends do you think is uplifting? And I named one of her friends. And mind you, this is not a friend she sees often, but I know that when they see each other, she's a light. Guess who called my mom the next morning and invited her to dinner? This is what happens when you go in and you're so connected to what your purpose is and what makes you tick and what makes you happy and how you can be of service to the world. The universe plays with you. I was able to play a little role in getting two really big issues healed just a little bit.
Yeah.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
Just the same way the Phoenix Rising poem came to me during that sound bath, or how you and I connected. The universe put you in my path. And it all is born of, are you willing to go beneath the surface of yourself? Are you willing to see the world as a playground for your love, for your gifts, for acts of service, for human connection, for deep meaning? Once you see the world through that lens, I swear to God, amazing synchronicities start happening. And those are divine affirmations telling you to keep going.
Thank you for sharing that. In the sauna last night, I went in there right after I found out that my grandmother, who's the only grandparent still alive of any of my parents, because I have step parents and, of course, my husband and his parents, found out last night that she has had two mini strokes. Her 100th birthday is at the end of this month. I knew that I needed to go visit her. And so I took my oldest son, Phoenix, to go visit her recently. And I just knew we had to do it before her 100th birthday. Well, thank goodness we did. And now she's in the hospital today, but I went into the sauna last night after finding out about her little mini strokes, and we don't know, is she going to be okay for another, how long, we don't know. But I felt that what you were describing as I was sitting there and just dripping sweat. First of all, this ache and this regret and just being with it of I wanted to interview her when I was visiting her. And it just didn't feel like the right circumstances. I almost was like, I got to get out of the sauna when that hit me of, oh, I didn't interview her because now she might never be the same. But then I just connected with this feeling of her spirit, her soul, it's eternal. And my connection with her is eternal. And the world's connection with her story and who she was and who she is eternal. And there is nothing lost. And anything that is worth anything cannot be gotten rid of on a spirit level. And so it's all here. And I did interview her a while ago with my dad. It's just the fact that he kept interrupting. It was what you were describing, that moment of being completely alone inside, internal, that did connect me to that universal knowing and truth and connection and feeling with her and her spirit and who she is and her legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love that you're sharing your story because for people who are experiencing grief over being estranged or losing a loved one or just not being able to be close in the physical world with someone that they love, if you open your heart to the possibility that the energy cannot be broken or lost, I do think that there is communion that can happen across time and space and fields.
And just look up at the
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite poems in Moon Garden is called Matriarchy. And it says, my grandmother's moon is my mother's moon, is my moon. She is who connects our prayers to each other. And it's only one moon that we've all ever gazed upon. And how beautiful is that? That we are all connected in this very singular, magnificent way across time and space. I hope that brings someone just a little bit of comfort to invite in the possibility that that energy, as you said, it cannot be lost.
And one last thing, when I was little, I used to write letters to my dad after he moved away. I was in Vermont, he moved to New York. I used to write letters to him. I've seen one of those letters, and it would say, "Are you looking up at the moon?" Because
Oh,
this is
wow.
how we stay connected, is because we're both looking at the same moon.
Wow. 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 That
Yeah.
is beautiful. Yes. So, anyone listening, anytime you look at the moon, remember you are loved by me, by Siri, by the world, because I do really believe that love is the point. Love is the whole reason we are here. And that is the name of that energy that connects everyone and everything. It's available to all of us, and it is all of us.
Yes. Thank you, Melody. I could talk to you
Thank
forever.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, listener, for coming on this ride. I can't imagine this not inspiring you. Go ahead and look in the show notes. I'll put links for Melody. Anything you want to share about finding
Um,
you, about your work, about what's
yeah,
coming up?
I love to connect with people and I'm very easy to find. So if this resonated with you, if you want to connect, send me a message on Instagram at Melody Godfred. The exciting news I want to share is that I've just this week rebranded my Substack newsletter. For the last 4 years, it was called Self Love Confidential, which was very appropriate given that I was leading a self love movement. And that was really the nature and home for my work. But I've evolved and I've grown, and self love is still very much a part of my story, but it's one facet of a larger tale. And so now Self Love Confidential is called the Poetry Oracle. And when you subscribe, you'll get weekly messages from the universe by way of poetry. You'll get teachings about the moon. You'll get invitations to moon circles. I'm really excited about it. I would love to hear from you.
Oh, that's so delicious. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Melody. This was
Thank you, Siri.
so heartwarming. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Me
I
too.
love you.
Big love. Love you too.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Wasn't that so inspiring? Here's what I keep thinking about. The dahlia turns inward before it blooms, not because something is wrong, not because it is failing, but because it is gathering energy, realigning, listening, and that image feels like such a permission slip for so many of us. Melody also brought this truth through so clearly. The shift happens when we stop gripping and start releasing and letting go. When we ask ourselves, what am I willing to let go of to get what I actually want? And I loved how honest we were about motherhood, about the duality of being too full and still not fully fed, about tending the devotional self and the wild self, about staying present to the whole thing without pretending it's easy. And there were moments that felt like wonder, like poetry arriving in a sound bath, phoenix rising, landing in the hands it was meant for, the moon as the thread that connects us across time and space, synchronicities that show up when we return to our own inner truth. If any of this stayed with you that I mentioned or anything else, I would love to hear about it. You can send me a message on Instagram at Siri Baruch Thornton and tell me what you're thinking about. Also, if you're ready to turn inward or to do that in support, I would love to work with you through transformational breathwork infused with Reiki in either private sessions or in-person gatherings or retreats. Come find me. We'll choose what fits for you. I love you big. I'll see you soon. Keep expanding your capacity to feel good one breath at a time. And if today's conversation stirred something in you, here are a few ways we can go deeper together. So the Authentic Creative Podcast, where you are now, make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss more conversations like this. And if you loved this one, share it with a friend who needs that. One-on-one work for private Reiki, breathwork, Akashic sessions where we can go right into your unique medicine. You can connect with me directly. Reach out to me once again. Thank you for being here. for listening, for expanding your capacity to feel good alongside me. I'm sending you love, and I can't wait to connect again soon. Loving you.